Oh. Satchidanandarupaya Vishvotpatyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditarataschaarteshvabhignaswarat Tene brahmarhadaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsuryaha Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi Dharma projita ketavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamunikrite Kim va paririshvaraha Sadyo hridya varudyate trakritibihi Shushrushubi tatkshanat. Hari Om and greetings from Niagara Falls. Everyone, relax the body. Enjoy the breath and quieten the mind. Aham Brahmasmi. I, infinite, am. This is the fundamentals of Sanatana Dharma. And for many, this is elusive. I, infinity, am. To help us relate to this, to personalize this, Srimad Bhagavatam is guiding us to the same. We are exploring this science to train ourselves to contemplate. The mind becomes quiet, the intellect becomes still, the ego becomes silent. And the fulfillment of all of this, Ashaya Stitaha, the one that is established in your heart, is Bhagavan Krishna. He always was, he always is, he always will be. Srimad Bhagavatam is a training to feel this. The past 2 months have been special for our course. Special and engaging. Lots of moving parts. This all began on October 2nd, during Navaratri, and specifically when we're worshiping Devi Saraswati, we commenced the dialogue between Rishi Dattatreya and Raja Yadu. This dialogue is about learning to learn. That's why I'm highlighting it's special that we did this while worshiping Devi Saraswati, learning to learn. The first direction to learn from that Rishi Dattatreya shares is earth for us to forgive. And the alignment is most beautiful. October 2nd is Gandhiji's Jayanti, and he's an icon of forgiveness. On October 9th, we were in our Devi retreat, and the theme was finding your faith. And so we explored the original Bhagavata, the main teaching being infinity is real. On October 16th, we had a mandir from Toronto that was visiting us at Chinmaya. So I flowed through a comprehensive review, and we further explored another direction to learn from is the air for us to purify, space for us to absorb, and water for us to refresh. On October 23rd, I was in Maryville. And so again, a comprehensive review. We further explored the moon for us to observe, the sun for us to share, and the fire for us to accept. On October 30th, I was in Cleveland. So lots of movement, lots of reviewing. We flowed through these teachers slowly, with the review being important. The teacher we explored on October 30th was the dove. I'm going to read the Sanskrit to you now. This is the 11th skanda, obviously, the 7th chapter, the 74th verse, 774. Yaf prapya manusham lokam mukti dwaram apavritam griheshu khagavat saktaha tamaruda chutam viduhu. I have lots to teach today, especially with our holiday, so I'm just going to read the translation. The doors of liberation are open wide to the one who has achieved human life. But if a human being simply devotes himself to family life, like the foolish bird in this story, then he is to be considered as one who has climbed to a high place only to trip and fall down. For us, it is to serve. To serve. Those who don't serve, their personalities are complacent. Naturally, their default is attachment. But for those who serve, it's like going through a refinery, a distillery. One becomes more balanced and focused and reflective. To serve. When we were exploring the dove, I had also shared that every relationship of ours is relative. And I'm going to the quarter that I had highlighted for all of you, the entire line actually. Teshu kale vyajayanta rachita vayavaharehe. Which means, when the time was ripe, the baby pigeons, by the grace of Sri Hari, the Lord, were born from those eggs. And what I've been emphasizing is, all of the relationships in our lives have come into our lives because of the grace and guidance of Bhagavan. And I had highlighted 5 C's to remember with every relationship. Those 5 C's again are Bhagavan is the creator, the controller, the consumer, the corrector, and the conserver. If one personalizes these 5 C's, creator, controller, consumer, corrector, and conserver, if one remembers this, one will treat every relationship as relative. When we forget the involvement of Bhagavan in our relationships, we become like that dove family. When we remember the involvement of Bhagavan, that Bhagavan is the one who creates, Bhagavan is the one who conserves from start to finish, our relationships become about Bhagavan rather than the relationship. Am I being clear? Everyone's reflecting on this deeply because our biggest weakness is attachment. From the raga comes the bhaya or anxiety. From the bhaya comes the krodha or the anger. So if I can impede the attachment, I will become less anxious, less angry. Every one of us wants that and needs that. On November 6th, we were celebrating Deepavali. Again, lots of moving parts. On November 6th, we explored the direction of the python. For us, to quieten. Tonight, I have to drive to Toronto, then fly to Trinidad. Many of you are joining me. And tomorrow evening, we have our commencement. And one of the foremost messages I will share in the commencement of our yatra is, if you practice contentment, then you will stop practicing complaining, criticizing, and crying. If you find that you cry too much, criticize too much, complain too much, it's a sign of a lack of contentment. What is the stepping stone to contentment? Quiet in the mind. One feels the Atma more. The nature of Atma? Ananda. We also explored the ocean. I'm reading the Sanskrit for you. This is chapter 8, verse 6. The 11th section, the 8th chapter, the 6th verse. Samriddha kamo hi nova narayana paro munihi notsarpetana shushyeta saradbhir iva sagaraha. During the rainy season, the swollen rivers rush into the ocean, and during the dry summer, the rivers, now shallow, have water, yet the ocean does not swell up during the rainy season, nor does it dry up in the hot summer. For us, it is to deepen. To deepen. The ocean was the 10th way in learning to learn, to deepen. Pujya Swami Tejomayananda shared with us, the one who is deep, it makes no difference if enjoyment comes into their life or not. If enjoyment comes, no difference. If enjoyment doesn't come, no difference. When I was growing up in Niagara, high school, university, we had a distant cousin who came and lived with us. Some of you know him. And often when I would go out with my friends and my cousins while in high school and university, I would invite him. He was maybe 5 or 10 years older than me. And one day when I was really teasing him to come have fun, you're going to have to go back to India soon, he said to me, I'm not like you and your friends. I don't need to have fun all the time. And that was a very revealing statement about how strong he is and how weak I am. That I always need something to make me feel complete, but he doesn't need to have this enjoyment or that enjoyment. We continue, and I'm going to pause here. November 13th, we also had a special class with Pujya Swami Prakashananda. Good. I've gone through a full review of 2 months. 10 teachers. We've celebrated Navaratri, Deepavali. We are going to go through 6 teachers now. And here is the general guidance that Rishi Dattatreya is offering to Raja Yadu. All 6 of these teachers are connected. They're very similar. The guidance is to let go of Sakti. I'm not saying Shakti. Shakti means power. Sakti means attachment. In the cases we're about to explore, this attachment is not to a being, but rather to an article or a sense object. It is one who is lusty, and this is expressed through their sense organs. What Pujya Swami Tejomayananda shared. You know that you are not practicing sakti, which means this indulgence, this lust. If you are told to stop this or that, you can stop. If you can't stop eating a certain food, if you can't stop watching a certain show, then there's sakti there. There's an attachment, a lust. Pujya Swami Tejomayananda is teaching us to let go of what we want. Let go of what we want. If one doesn't, we will have rich and poor minds. Think about that. A rich body, I can eat whatever I want because I can afford it. But a poor mind, that if food that doesn't come to my liking, I'm completely agitated by that. That describes many, no? Rich bodies, poor minds. Okay. Teacher number 11. The moth. The moth. The moth, as all of us know, is attracted to light. The sense object that is highlighted here is form, that we can see forms. And for a moth particularly, it is attracted, it is drawn to a hot light or in nature. And what happens when that fragile moth goes onto a hot bulb in your home? It gets burnt. You can smell it, correct? And outside, it gets into fire. And so the comparison is that humans are the same way. Attraction is natural. Attraction helps procreation. It helps our species to go on. But when that attraction is minus viveka, viveka here means discrimination or parameters, then that becomes lust. Attraction is not a problem. Lust is the problem. When I had taught Moha Mudgara some years ago, I referenced what Pujya Swami Tejomayananda shared. It was so stark for me. I just joined the course. He said, when you're walking down the street and you see a beautiful person, seeing them the first time is not the problem. Looking again, that's the problem. Correct? There's so much beauty, vibhuti, all around us. It is the attachment or the lust that burns us. Now, you're going to be thinking, Vivekji, what are we supposed to do? Tell us the two that will be part of your raw. So I've not forgotten how to teach in this context, but I'm going to encourage you to think about this. Number 11, the honeybee. The honeybee. I am going to read the Sanskrit for you. Chapter 8, verse 10. I'm covering a lot of content today. If there's parts that you have missed, please note this. We have our dialogue. Anubhyascha mahadbyascha shastrebhya kushalo naraha sarvata saram adadyat pushpebhya iva shatpadaha pushpebhya iva shatpadaha. Just as the honeybee takes nectar from all flowers, big and small, an intelligent human being should take the essence from all religious scriptures. That's the translation. Here's more implication for us. When we come across a honeybee, what do? Freak out. Let's kill it. Let's run away. But if you observe a honeybee, particularly in a flower, that honeybee practices such ahimsa, is so gentle with that flower, is never greedy, takes more so that it harms the flower. So that's one messaging. Every article, being, and circumstance we interact with these gently. Only take what the other article, being, and circumstance can handle. I find the biggest challenge with relationships, living with people, working with people, is misexpectation. I expect of you more than you can actually provide. But the more sensitive I am practicing ahimsa, my expectation of you becomes more aligned with what you can provide then. Yes? So that's an insight. Number 10 was the ocean. We explored this thoroughly. 11 is the moth. The moth is that which is lusty towards the sense of seeing. The honeybee is that which is lusty towards the sense of smelling. Smelling. All the sense organs are going to be highlighted. Number 13 is the elephant. The elephant. I was hanging out with our kids more today when they were asking me what I was doing, and I was telling them that I'm thinking about these animals and what I can learn from them. So then I asked Vyasa, I went through each of these and I said, what can you learn from these? And for the elephant, he said, what we can learn is to drink water and spray it at each other. So that's one reference. The reference in Srimad Bhagavatam is, the elephant is lusty, has no viveka or parameters towards the sense of touch. Touch. An elephant, particularly during mating season, what happens is hunters, they create a fake elephant in the jungle, something that looks like a fake elephant. And then another elephant wants to come and touch that, but underneath that fake elephant is a hole, and those elephants get trapped in that hole. So this is what is described. For us, what Pujaswami Tejomayananda shared, that touch is the most dangerous of the sense organs. This morning, for those who are part of Meaningful Mornings, one of the questions was about sexual assault. Our observation of society, of movies, and so on, is that touch is the most dangerous of all of the sense organs. we have no control. And then we get trapped, and in doing so, we trap others too. In Srimad Bhagavatam, what is described is that we should not even touch our own bodies unnecessarily. So like if Vivek is washing his hair, undoubtedly I have to run my fingers through my hair. But I shouldn't, just casually be touching my hair or my beard and so on. And that's why Vivek is very careful. I'm not a person who taps my feet or sits like this or plays with hair. Because I've studied a lot of this, and this is a message that's really had an impact on me, is that you shouldn't even touch your body unless you have to. And that's why also in our culture, in addition to bathing being more public back in the day, but when you bathed in the river, in the lake, you did so with clothes on, so that you didn't even touch your body in ways that you didn't need to. So that's the elephant. Number 14, the honey gatherer. This is the one I told you that is sort of out of sequence. The moth is our sight. The honeybee is our smelling. The elephant is touching. The honey gatherer is out of place in the sequence of 5. But, this but is a sattvic but, okay? What's being celebrated in America in the coming week? Thanksgiving. What do we do on Thanksgiving? We hoard. Hoarding is buying things you want and not what you need. We have Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Then for everyone, Thanksgiving's over. There's Giving Tuesday also, correct? I'm reading the Sanskrit to you. I'm still in chapter 8. We're still in chapter 8, verse 15. Nadeyam nopabhogyam cha lubdherya dukkha sanchitam bhungte tad api tat chanyo madhuhe vartavin madhu. A greedy person accumulates a large quantity of money, struggle and pain. But the person who has struggled so much to acquire this wealth is not always allowed to enjoy it himself or give it in charity to others. The visual here is that the honeybee is the one that gathers all the honey. And then what happens to that honey? The honey gatherer comes and takes it away. And so what Rishi Dattatreya has learned from this is to not be a kripanaha. This is a word used in Bhagavad Gita. Please tell me in the chat in English, what does kripana mean? The English miser is good, or the Hindi kanjus is also good. The one who conserves juice, iti kanjus. A miser is one who doesn't know how to enjoy and doesn't allow others to enjoy either. That's what a hoarder is. What they want, but you can never satisfy that. So once they get what they want, they're living for more of what they want, instead of appreciating what they have. If we don't share our resources, this will be taken from us. In our culture, during Navaratri, and I've shared this many times, but still many in our community practicing this, we do put out Bhagavati Lakshmi's footprints coming into our home, but you also have to put her footprints leaving your home. If you don't, she will take more than what she came with. Her presence is what graces us, but she can't stay in your home only. The word Dhananjaya Prince Arjuna traveled throughout Bharata Varsha, freeing up resources from kings that were hoarding it. But he never depended on it. That's why he's called Dhananjaya. So much of our culture is like this. And I've shared with all of you, especially those who are older, you should be giving 20% of your income to Dharma. This came way back in Bhagavatam. If not 20, 10. Not less than 10. We flirt with 1 or 2%. So we're like the honeybee then. And Puja Swami Tejamayana shares, we get stung then. We don't know how to enjoy, and we're always anxious about what if. What lovely messages. Number 15, the deer. The deer. Point to me. Which sense organ is the towards? Sound. Sound. Rishi Dattatreya observed that hunters in the jungle, they would be able to use an instrument that sounded like a deer. If you think of the Ramayana, the same happened, correct? That deer made a sound like Lakshmana. And then eventually that deer comes towards that hunter and is trapped. And some implication for us is for us to be careful about what we input through our ears, because the subtlest sense organ we have is the sense of sound. It is most connected with the mind. That's why our Veda is called Shruti, that which is to be listened to, correct? The first inner discipline is, again, to listen. So if I'm not careful, I hear the news too much. I hear gossip too much. I hear music that has unpleasant messages or lyrics. That will trigger the mind into being rajasic, tamasic. We start to feel more aggressive. Isn't that the case? There's so many concerts that happen where once that music plays, people rush to the stage and get trampled. That doesn't happen at classical music concerts, correct? So be careful about what you are hearing and listening to. The moth, dancing. What part? And all of this is in our face. Show me the moth. What is it lusty towards? Yes, our eyes. The honeybee, our smelling, correct. The elephant, touching. The deer, hearing. What have we missed now? Point to me what we've missed. Yes. Number 16 is the fish. The fish, which is our final sense organ, and that is of taste. We're going to complete Vedanta and Bhagavata over 168 hours. Today is our 134. I wish we could double this, because there's so many details that I would love to share with you, but there just isn't enough time. One of the insights that is shared about taste is the sense organ that feeds this other sense organs. Reflect on that. Taste is the sense organ that feeds the other sense organs. And lots is written about that, but I'm sharing this in a summary. If we go through our sense organs, if you don't hear for some time, it doesn't affect how much you eat. If you don't touch for some time, it doesn't affect how much you see. If you don't see for some time, it doesn't affect your smell. If you don't smell for some time, it doesn't affect how you, see or hear. But if you don't taste, if you don't eat for some time, Doesn't it affect all of your sense organs? You hear less well. You see less well. In Chandogya Upanishad, you think less well. Correct? It is that sense organ that feeds the other sense organs. And in our culture, we feel that feeding is so important. So we put in so much effort towards taste, when more viveka is needed, so that we appreciate that food is needed in our life. We're attracted to it in a need sense, but we don't have that lust that I have to have tasty food, lots of food. I'm always reminded of, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, one of them is essentially safety needs, or food, etc. And the problem with this teaching is that descriptive word some, S-O-M-E, is not there. Correct? Food is my need, so I should eat lots. We need some food, correct? Some space. The moth, the honeybee, the elephant, the honey gatherer, the deer, the fish, the next teacher, which we will explore in our next month, was a very special teacher, Pingala, who sometimes in lighter or more childish texts is described as a dancer, but in actuality is a prostitute. Oh.